Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income with real estate. Listen and learn how 90% of the millionaires in the world use real estate to create a life that most people only dream about. A life that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here's your host, real estate investor and consultant, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon and welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis, where, as always, we're talking about freedom. We talk about wealth, health, and freedom through real estate investing, but I'm getting all these emails, advertisement emails, and even a few from members or friends, saying, do a show on financial freedom because it's July 4th, which can be a little corny, but everybody's doing it. So I'm going to do it in a hopefully not a respectful way. I hope it doesn't come across as corny or goofy, but it really is a good time to think about it because we're all talking about freedom as a nation because of July 4th coming up. But a lot of people have not quite achieved it yet. And they're still in a dependent stage of their life where we'll consider independent, we declared independence. So you really have to make it to the independent level to really enjoy the freedoms that the Constitution has put out there. Now, everybody enjoys most of them, but I'm talking about the big picture that they were trying to put together. This land of opportunity where anybody that wants it can become insanely successful, and no king's going to stop you. No, just because you weren't born in the right family is not going to stop you. Just because you're the wrong color isn't going to stop you. This freedom that we can do as much or as little as we want to. But the rewards of doing as much as you can are unbelievable in this country. And it's not just here. There's other good capitalist societies, but I don't know of any that seem to be as effective at protecting their people, taking care of their people, and allowing that type of freedom to start your own business, to move from the dependent stage into the independent stage. And what I'm referring to is most people are still they never get out of the dependent stage. They never get to true freedom. And even some people that move to independent still kind of are slaves to their self-employment. But let's make sure we understand what I mean by most people are still dependent. If you're a kid and you have to do a certain number of chores every week to get an allowance from your parents, we would all agree that that's a dependent stage. We're dependent on our parents. And our parents then tell us, I want you to be independent, son. I want you to be independent, daughter. I want you to get out there and get a job, pay your own bills, save your way to retirement, and be independent. Here's the problem. That's not independent. That's still dependent. In other words, if you have to do a bunch of chores to get an allowance every week, or you get a job and you do have to do a bunch of chores to get a paycheck every week, do you see how that's the exact same stage of life? You haven't really grown much. You're still stuck in that dependent, what can you do for me mentality. And then once you recognize you're still in the dependent stage of life, and you say, well, doggone it, I want to move to independent, it becomes, what can I do for others? Remember, dependent stage is, what can you do for me? Independent stage is, what can I do for you? Meaning, are you going to build a better phone? Are you going to find a cure for COVID? Are you going to teach people how to invest in real estate? You know, you've got to figure out how you're here and why you're here to help and serve other people, because that's where money comes from. So many people get confused about how to make money when it's really such a simple thing. You first have to realize where money comes from. There's only one source of money in the United States: other people. Every single dime of capital in the United States is controlled by somebody. If you want more money in your pocket, it has to come out of someone else's pocket. There is no big pile of unclaimed money out there waiting for you to just go grab it. Some people will say, well, the government has money. Do they really? I thought they were trillions of dollars in debt. Government doesn't have any money. People will say, well, the banks have money. No. Whose money do they have? Yours and mine. Then people will say, well, the big corporations, Apple has billions. They have billions of your dollars. There is no big pile of unclaimed money. So you first understand that the only way to get more money in your pocket is to help and serve other people. Then you find what you're passionate about, and you go do that. It could be building a better phone. It could be any of the things that I mentioned. But that's the independent stage when you're self-employed and you do it yourself. Now be very careful. There's a third stage called interdependence, which is the ultimate goal, and that's that stuff nobody ever talks about. Interdependence is where you own a business. Now, many of you are now confused. You're going, I thought being self-employed was owning a business. Self. When you own a business, you don't work anymore. If you look at the 11 apartment complexes that I owned, I didn't work in those apartments. I didn't have a key to the front gate. I didn't have anything. Nothing whatsoever. So, in this particular case, moving from dependent to independent is where you get your freedom. And then moving from dependent to interdependence is where you get your ultimate freedom, where you do nothing and everything is accomplished. We'll talk more about this when we come back from with the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question or comment under the Voice of Texas, thanks for listening. Do you dream of a better life for you and your family? Do you want more time with your family? Would you like to travel more? Would you like to be less dependent on a job for your income? The solution is simple. Build a second stream of income. We can show you, and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. The phone lines are open. Remember, if you feel like you've got a dumb question, there are no dumb questions, but call anyway. Give a fake name. Let's get that question answered. Maybe you've got a specific fear about investing in real estate. One of my initial fears was I thought that running single-family homes took up a lot of time. I'd almost lost my wife because I was working so much, and I was afraid to buy them because I thought I'd end up in the same situation. Maybe that's your fear. Maybe you got a fear of qualifying for mortgages or whatever. Give me a call at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Or you're welcome to email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. So in the first segment, we were talking about there's really different levels of freedom. I don't consider working just a job. In other words, if that's your only source of income, I don't consider that freedom. That's still the dependent stage of life. That freedom comes when you start your own company. Remember, I didn't call it a business because there's another stage where the business comes into effect. But you start a little company and you build widgets. Well, I guess I'll use the real estate. You buy 20 rent houses. You buy 2 a year over the next 10 years. Boom, you got 20 rent houses. You got $8,000 a month passive income, semi-passive income. Because running 20 houses is only going to take you about 2 hours a month. On most months, if you have to lease, it might take you 10 hours that month. If you had to lease 2 of them, maybe even 3 of them in 1 month. So most months, 2 hours at the most. And really, that's kind of ridiculous. Most months is like nothing. You write your mortgages, you put them into QuickBooks, you balance your checkbook. That's it. What is that, 30 minutes? Well, you got to deposit your checks. That might be a 30-minute endeavor. So there's an hour a month. Then when you have a vacancy, you have 10 hours that month. Probably the average, like I've always said, is it's 6 hours or less is average to run and make an extra $6 or $8 grand a month. But let's say you do that. But what did I just describe, though? It's semi-passive. You're running those properties. If you disappear, those properties are not going to run themselves, and everything's going to go wrong that can go wrong because you're not there. That's the self-employment level. But there's a level beyond that, which would be passive investing. That's where you hand somebody your money, they go run the property and just send you a check every quarter, and then big checks every 2 years when they refinance. That's interdependence. And if you want to study this, I'm picking this up from a book by Dr. Stephen Covey called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I believe he calls it the maturity continuum in that book, the maturity continuum. You've got dependent stage of life, independent, and the problem is most people never get past dependent, and then only a few, very few, get past independent into interdependence. And interdependence is where retirement exists. And as I've discussed before, only about 5% of people make it to that point. So it's important to start thinking about it, especially July 4th when you're sitting there sipping beers by the pool. Ask yourself, are you truly free? Or are you still stuck in that dependent stage? You haven't quite taken the responsibility for your financial position yet. You're still wanting somebody to do something, Exxon to do it for you, Walmart to do it for you, whoever you work for. Or are you ready to take responsibility and become truly independent, truly free? I'm telling you, the quality of lifestyle at that point is incredible. It's that peace of mind, knowing you're in control. You know, sometimes it's scary, you know, because you live and die by your own decisions. Can't blame it on the corporation, can't blame it on the government. You might be able to blame it on COVID here for the next couple of months, but generally it's you. Yeah, it's scary. Do it anyway. You're never not going to be scared. You've got to understand that. Courage is not, you know, that fear doesn't exist. Courage is being afraid and doing it anyway. So get out there and start moving towards independence and then eventually interdependence. Another great book to study is Michael Gerber's book on the E-Myth. The E-Myth is an excellent work because he explains how most people who move from a job to self-employment don't do very well. You know, after 10 years, it's like only 10% of them still exist. And he explains how most people are, you know, they think because they can cook good and they have these great recipes, they can own a restaurant. That doesn't mean you know anything about running a restaurant. Just because you have good, lots and lots and lots of places with incredible food go out of business. Because they know nothing about running a business. They know nothing about running a restaurant. So be careful that you don't do that. Make sure you understand the business before you move to that next stage, which is independence. All right, got an email question here. Let me see if I can get to it. There it is. All right. Let's see, what is... Oh, this is kind of some personal stuff and questions about my membership. David, I will email you immediately after the show. Thank you so much for emailing me. But yeah, I'll email you. I'm trying to see. No. Yeah, there's no other questions. It's just kind of about membership, but I'll discuss that with you, David, after the show. Thank you for emailing and thank you for listening. Phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Here's another email question. In need of a commercial refinance. Okay, this one I'll answer as well after the show. I'll need to know, you'll need to email me what type of commercial it is. Is it mobile home park? Is it self-storage? Is it a strip shopping center? A little mid-rise building? Let me know what it is, and I'll put you in touch with one of my mortgage companies. And then, can a tenant set up an escrow account for rent balance? Not sure I understand that question. Why would a tenant set up an escrow account? He needs to give you the money. Escrow account for rent balance. Yeah, see if you would, please, anonymous. Suzanne. Suzanne, if you would, email me back and give me more details. I want to know what that means. I don't think they should ever put an escrow account. They should be sending it directly to you. Yeah, I can't think of any circumstance where that would occur. But give me more detail. Email me, please. Again, it's Ask Steve. This is for anybody that wants to email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Or give me a call. 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. So again, going back to Michael Gerber's book, he talks about how people move from a job, and because they're good at one part of the job, they think they're good at the whole business. And you got to be humble. If you are an incredible cook, that doesn't mean you know how to run a restaurant. Same goes for people who are incredible restaurateurs. You got to have somebody that knows how to cook. So really, I guess I'm kind of leaning towards the point that it's a team sport. Life, and especially business, they're team sports. So make sure that you have that team in place before you move from employed to self-employed. Okay, next email question is basically, what are the steps to a wholesale deal? Well, that's tough. That's, probably about 15 steps. I actually do a show on that, but that would take me the entire show, and we're already really at midpoint of the show. So I cannot answer that. I will, however, email you a quick rundown of those 12 steps after the show. Wholesale deals are not difficult, but there are a lot of steps, and if you skip one of them, you can burn your investor. And if you burn your investor, they'll never do another deal with you again. You burn all your investors, you'll never do another deal again. So I'll send that list to you after the radio show. Okay, phone lines are open at 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Sonny, I see you on hold. I'll get to you immediately after the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Thanks for listening. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Catastrophes happen in the U.S. and around the world on a regular basis, causing tremendous financial difficulty for those unprepared. However, some people are prepared. These are the people with a second stream of income. This month, we are offering a free 2-hour workshop on how to use real estate to build a second stream of income for your family. For reservations, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Remember, you can always find us online at GetRealWealth.com. Got two questions here, one about building a buyer's list and one about the workshop tomorrow night. That workshop tomorrow night is available either online or live. If you're not comfortable wearing a mask and coming into our office, you can watch it online. So it's a free introductory course where I go over the 8 ways that, or the 8 reasons that we chose real estate above all other investment vehicles, and 14, we call them pillars of health, wealth, and happiness. These are the principles that we use to run our families and businesses with. They are very powerful, and I guarantee they'll inspire and encourage you on your mission to achieve financial independence. So go to GetRealWealth.com. Upper right hand corner will say free course. It's only about an hour and 15 minutes, but it can be life changing. If you take the material I share with you in that workshop, you can change your life for the better. There's no doubt. It's worked for tens of thousands of people. What am I talking about? This material is 100 years old. It's worked for hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people. You know, nothing I say is new or secret. Go to propel yourself forward towards your real goals. I thought that was my idea. It's not. I found a speech like that from 1952, a Martin Luther King Jr. from 1968. I mean, there's nothing new. Anybody who claims any of this information is new or theirs, run away. This is all old information. All old information. It's just not taught in our high schools or colleges. So when you hear it from me, it's like, wow, that's a pretty neat idea. Well, guess what? It's been around for thousands of years, I guarantee it. The next question is from a member, and a friend, Patty. He's hit a roadblock. He's trying to wholesale down to about 50% of our classes because of COVID. Normally, we would have more classes than this, and you would be able to get in front of the other members and build your buyer's list more effectively. Until then, I highly recommend meetup.com. There are a tremendous number of meetup events, and go to as many of those as you can. You may not be able to get into them between now and I guess August 21st or whatever it is, when we're allowed to take off our mask and have meetings again. That's a great source. Then, Patty, I want you to understand that every single person that you know, friend, relative, your attorney, your CPA, your boss, your co-workers, let them know you're looking for distressed property. You know, the very first deal that a Real Wealth Academy member did came from a friend. Came from a friend. Not a realtor, not a wholesaler, just word of mouth. So everybody should know. And make sure, Patty, you've got a good business card that clearly states you buy houses. It doesn't have to be very detailed. In fact, Pat, if you want to talk about it, give me a buzz tomorrow, and I'll tell you what I put on the card. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Ask Steve and getrealwealth.com. Okay, let's see. Okay, I've got another question from David. Wow. David has a lot of money. Turn that into investing so I can break away from my job and increase my daily cash flow. And he's gone on. David, with that much money, and the number I'm just giving a round number. I'm not going to tell you exactly what he's got, but he's got around 350K, a little more than that. And that is a big number, David, to be starting off with. So if you looked at passive investing, strip shopping centers, self-storage, multifamily, and you got that money working in there, and you're trying to replace $6,500 a month, $350,000. Let's go 2 years out. Let's go 3 years out and get an 85% rate of return. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Times 0.85 divided by 36 months. That's $8,200. David. So you've definitely got enough money to do that, where in 3 years up to be. People are running around going, it's all about retirement. I've retired twice in my life, once at 30 for 6 months and at 52 for 2 years. Hated it. So you may not want to leave what you're doing now unless you're unhappy. But don't think that you're going to want to do nothing. This is a huge mistake that I see people make over and over and over and over again. I don't say much about it other than to warn them, but almost every person I know who's financially independent has gone back to work in some way, shape, or form, either as in charity, philanthropy, or back to a job that they love. But it should be something that you love. Okay, let's go to the phone lines, and we'll come back to David. I'm sorry. Sonny, I apologize for taking so long to get back to you. What is your question, please, Sonny?
Not at all. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. A couple of questions. I was wondering that do you recommend renting your properties or residential houses using Section 8, or do you rent it to just a typical regular renter, like placing an ad on the newspaper or something?
Yeah, Sonny, as a rule, I like the regular renter, but I do believe in the Section 8 system for single moms or single dads, where they've gotten themselves into a situation where they need help. The problem with Section 8 housing is it's highly abused, highly. And there's a lot of bad people in Section 8. But if you screen the people, the other thing I don't let happen is I don't want them controlling more than 10% of my portfolio. I wouldn't do Section 8 in more than 10% of my portfolio, and that 10% is going to be people that I believe honestly deserve to be on Section 8.
But if you only have one of the properties, do you recommend one of both properties be in Section 8?
If you've only got one, I wouldn't do Section 8, Sonny.
Okay. Okay. And second question is getting repairs. Do you recommend having big companies to get it repaired, or do you find somebody who, because I always have a problem with somebody getting one thing fixed and then next time can't get a hold of them or can't find the number, doesn't work anymore. So how do you manage?
I prefer GCs, except when I buy the house, Sonny, I rehab it all up front and I use a GC, one guy who controls all the skills. Then once I own it, Then I will put it out to the AC guy for the AC work, the plumber for the plumbing work. Is that answering your question?
Yes, basically
Okay.
GC.
Yeah, I don't GC those deals myself. Absolutely not.
Got it. Very good. Maybe hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, I look forward to it. Thank you, Sonny. Bye-bye. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. So let's go back to David's situation. So he does a value play deal, plops $340,000, $350,000 in it. 3 years from now, he gets 85% back. I'm not even counting the cash flow, David. You're going to receive cash flow 6, maybe 10% during those 3 years. I'm just talking about the refi at the end of 3 years, and it could be shorter than that. That's the equivalent of $8,000 a month you get back. Now, David, I got another sales pitch for you. Don't quit your job right then. Go take that $350 and reinvest it. Just one time. Now you've got $700,000 invested. 3 years later, there's a couple of refinances. You get, say, just 50%. That's another $8,200 a month. David, don't worry if this doesn't all make sense to you because I'm racing through it. Just understand, yeah, you're in an incredible position to do that. A conservative time. Now he's asking about an ambitious timeline and a conservative timeline. I think in this case, there's only one way for you to do it. So there's no alternate choice. One's not more ambitious than the other, in other words. But good Lord, that's a lot of money to start with. Okay. Phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. This is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you want to email me a question, it's asksteve@GetRealWealth.com, asksteve@GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening. Real estate accounts for more millionaires in America than any other investment vehicle. This second stream of income can truly change your life. More time for travel and romance, more time for family and fitness, more time for whatever you want to do with your life. To find out how to build this second stream of income, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop on real estate investing. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me, we are in the final segment of today's show, so you would need to call me as soon as possible at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-5738, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Wholesalers, it is important to have a business card that states that you find profitable deals. It's almost, after seeing, Patty just sent me a copy of his business card. It looks really good. But after reading it, and I told him what to do, but after seeing it, it's not really that appropriate for the sellers or realtors you're marketing yourself to. So I think you almost need a double-sided card. Yeah, a double-sided card where the back of it says you buy distressed property, you buy houses any condition, words to that effect. Because the card, Patty, implies you find profitable deals. That's an excellent way to communicate with the buyers, but it's not clear to the sellers and realtors what you do. So that's why I sent that email to you saying create a one-page flyer for that purpose with a picture of you, maybe a graphic of a house or two, maybe a before and after would be a good idea. Show a picture of a beat up piece of dog poop and the after, all fixed up. Say, look, this is what I buy. The worse condition, the better. I love it. Give me a beat up piece of dog poop and I'll turn it into a beautiful home. So, and that could be accomplished by having the back of your card be for the buyers and the realtors, and the front of your card so thanks, Patty. You gave me a great idea, I think. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Okay, let's go to the phone lines now with a big challenge for everyone, an eviction issue. This is Beatrice from Northwest Houston. Beatrice, thank you so much for calling in. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
My pleasure. How can I help?
Okay, I have several single-family homes, and half of my tenants have called in because they're stating, well, not called me, but they have stopped paying because of COVID-19, indicating that they are not working, whether they are or not. So what do you do in a case like that? I've gone down and filed eviction, but they are not carrying out the eviction until the court
can't carry it out. What I have done, Beatrice, is I stay in close contact. If they're not calling you, that's suspicious to me. So what I did with my tenants and what we did with both multifamily and single family is we reached out to them and asked for proof. And if they can't produce it, then you're going to have to proceed with eviction because they're lying. This all goes back to screening, though, Beatrice. Are you checking credit and criminal reports?
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
talking to landlords?
Well, these people have been in their homes for at least 3 or 4 years,
Okay.
and I've had no
Always paid on
problems
time.
with them.
Yeah, they may really be having trouble, but I would reach out to them, get communication going with them. Don't be harsh. It's just matter of fact. Would you please send me some proof that you were laid off or furloughed or whatever the circumstance is?
Okay.
If they don't provide you with proof, then you've started the eviction process, and as soon as they give you the go-ahead, you can start.
Well, I've already started that. I've already done that,
Yeah.
Started the eviction process.
Yeah, unfortunately, Beatrice, there's not much you can do beyond that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I will tell you one thing. We did a lot of our tenants we set up on payment plans. We're not getting the whole month's rent, but we got some. So try to set them up on payment plans so that once they get back to work, they can catch up.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the info.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't be more help.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You take care. Bye-bye. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-5738, which is KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay, just had an email from another radio station. AM 700 KSEV, if you're listening to me right now live. AM 700 KSEV in Houston, Texas, the voice of Texas. And your question is a little confusing. I want to read through it once more while I'm running my mouth here. It appears to me, okay, there it is. All right, now I understand. Okay, you've got over $100,000 equity in that house. You need to sell it. Yeah, you could refinance and get most of it out, but I would sell it, and with that $100,000 minus closing costs, say you're left with 90, you're going to be able to buy about 8 houses. So you're going to be able to turn that one house into 8 houses. The reason I say that is because my total out of pocket for the last 20 houses I've done has been around $20,000 per house. So you're going to have 90. That means you can get 8.5. Hard to buy half a house. But that's exactly what I would do. I now understand your question. I think. If I don't, email me again. But that's exactly what I would do. That is dead equity. That's too much equity to have in a rent house. I generally sell my rent houses as soon as they have $50,000 or more equity that I can get to. If I got a house with $50,000 equity, I can turn that into 2, maybe 3 houses. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. All right. Phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. All right, this next one is anonymous, and they hate their job. And if they found out that I was emailing you, they'd fire me. But, okay, let's see if there's a question here. Yeah. Okay. This really, anonymous, is a self-esteem problem. It really is. If you think you can't do this for some reason, you've got some self-esteem issues. A lot of people who are in jobs that they don't like have self-esteem issues. And what do I mean by that? They think they can't find another job. Totally ludicrous. If you can find this job, you can find another one. But people who have a low self-esteem think they're lucky to have that job they're miserable at. And they don't think that anybody else is going to give them a job. That's just not true. People who make the most money in life, without exception, sorry about that, without exception, are in jobs, careers, or businesses that they love. They don't enjoy it. They love it. You need to get out of that job, because bad jobs can cause heart attacks, suicide, miserable divorces. It is important, based off these 4 or 5 points you made about your current job, that you get out of that job. My favorite book for helping raise your self-esteem is not really a book on self-esteem, but it will help you raise your self-esteem. It's called Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins. Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins. Please get that book, read it, get it on CD or MP3 on your phone, and listen to it, and get out of that job before it costs you your health, your marriage, and maybe even your life. So there's my advice. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or you can email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. I talked to a lady one time who was at a company that had caused her to have a heart attack. And the doctor had told her, you are miserable at work. There's nothing wrong with your heart. You had a heart attack because you're stressed out at work. You know where she went back to work? Same place. I asked her why. She goes, because they have medical insurance. You're going to need it. All right, this has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your week.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.